All right, before I bring them on screen, I want to tell you that this next person lights up my life. We met a couple years ago, I think at Wild Goose. Does that sound right? And they are just wonderful in so many ways, and I love them, and I'm really glad that they're in my life. So let's welcome to the show, Kevin Garcia, everybody. Hi, Kev.
Hello, how are you, beloved?
I'm good. Sorry for stumbling over the pronouns there.
Dude, you're fine. Hey,
right.
See, that is a perfect example of like what it is to like fail in real time and then also correct yourself in real time. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So like, kudos.
All right. Thank you. You're so kind. Before I forget, I mentioned this earlier. Kevin wrote a book recently called Bad Theology Kills. And people can buy it on the Amazons. Is that right? Oh, you have a real copy in front of you.
A real copy. Yes, you can get it on the internet. You can go to badtheologykills.com, and there's all the places all over there.
You are a marvelously gifted writer, and right before he got off, Justin McRoberts, who was on right before you, Justin opened for you. Is basically how you want to frame it. He wanted to extend great gratitude to you. He says he's super impacted by your work, and he's really grateful for you. So that's from Justin.
Well, fun fact, I accidentally clicked on the call, and I heard the whole thing, and my heart was so touched. I was like, oh, that's so nice.
That's fun. All right, Kev, you know a little bit about this shifty work of
a little bit
leaving, moving,
this.
Look at that, people.
The shift?
The shift. I think I've now trademarked that word.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, you know a little bit about this.
A little bit. That is the dang truth.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you would be willing to share with our audience, both live and those who will watch this later, because we've been talking about this experience of leaving conservative Christianity, or for some people getting kicked out of, or being shown the door, or some mixture of the two, and finding something that's still within the tradition, heritage of Christianity, but that it's more progressive. It's a word I use, more open, more inclusive, more left, more liberal. I don't know how people want to describe it.
Yeah.
But that journey, that experience for me, I've noticed just so many commonalities between people. The details are unique to them, but the overarching themes I've found to be very similar. It's part of why I thought a survival guide for that would be helpful.
Yeah.
So would you share with us, as you shifted, in the midst of your shift, what was one of the more challenging aspects for you?
I think one of the more challenging aspects for me was initially, it was, the first thing was like, it's okay to be gay, right? And so like, that was like a very like miniature thing. What I didn't realize was at the beginning of my journey was that when you pull on that one string, the whole thing tends to like fray apart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You pull on that one card in the deck of cards and the whole thing comes down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to me, is I did not realize how much I also had to start unpacking all of these other questions around, what do you think about what happens after you die? What do you think about relationship structures? What do you think about capitalism? What do you think about, your black friends in the Black Lives Matter movement? It was a whole to-do that really moved me from a place of like, I went from a space of like, I have to be justified by this one thing, to being someone who I don't look for my justification except for both in like the fruit of my actions, and then also realizing that Christ has already, kind of leveled the playing field for me to make me like worthy of being called, even still called a Christian anyways. I didn't make the rules. I think I'm a POS a lot of the time, but hey, like grace or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think it started off with like, I had this need, like I want to be sure I want authority. I want someone to tell me what to think. And a lot of times the journey of faith is continuously bumping up against things that you thought you believed, and then God showed you something different. So
how great is that? How great is that for God to show us things that just pull that string? Okay, so you pulled the string. You touched a little too aggressively the card in the House of Cards. Did your worst fears come true? And then, if so, what was that like?
Yeah. Yes and no. So for me, my coming out process, I have to say it was like there was two coming out for me. It was like, one, telling my mom I'm queer. Two, telling my mom that I don't take the Bible literally anymore. And so she gets a little like, about things like that. So
I imagine that might have been just as hard for her, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because now it's just like there's all these different things. But I think I'm sorry, my ADD kicked in. Can you tell me the question that you just asked?
No, you're fine. I just wondered if that's totally good. I wondered if your fears about pulling that string or knocking that House of Cards, if that actually came to fruition, and if so, what that was like.
Yes, my fears were I'm going to lose so much, because at the time I was a part of an evangelical missions organization. I was getting ready to like go be launched back out to the nations and whatnot, and I had all of that pulled out from underneath me. Yeah. Like I got froze out of my position. I had no money. I had no job. I had no prospects, and I lost like people who I thought were my family ended up being people who could no longer, they couldn't talk to me without saying, hey, I'm fearing for your soul. And that gets exhausting for a while, of just like people like, oh, this is a conditional love relationship. It's conditional on the fact that I abide by your rules and by your interpretations of scripture and your understanding of how life works. So I did lose a whole lot of stuff, but I will tell you what, on the other side of that, recognizing how much more I've gained as a result, it's like, it's scary out here sometimes in like, these Dixie Chicks wide open spaces of Christianity and faith. Yeah. But I will say it's more, I've never been closer. Like in the wide open space of like, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't need to know. Sometimes I really want to know and I cry because I don't know. But I will say, like, there is a depth of trust that I have now in Spirit and her plans for me than I ever did before. I had my whole world fall apart. It's like, in some of the Hindu traditions, Kali is this goddess of destruction. She's coming through, and she's not coming through to like bust everything up just because she loves destruction. But it's just like, that's not real. That's not real. That's a false idol. That's a false idol. And so I've been big into yoga recently. So I think of her and I'm just like, like that is constantly what God is doing. Yeah. Just coming through and saying, you think I look like that? Bah! Yeah. You think you think that you need this specific doctrine? Anytime you try to put a doctrine on me, how many times do I bust out of them? Saith the Lord.
Saith the Lord. Do you... So there's a question for you. Are you finding yourself sort of inadvertently creating boxes without even being aware of it? So then the boxes keep getting sort of blown apart and you're like, oh, I did it again. I didn't even mean to. Is that kind of what you're describing a little bit, or?
Mm-hmm. And that's that's the work though. That's the constant work of faith now, is to become aware of the boxes that we put God into, right? Yeah. And not only God, but the boxes we put ourselves into, the ways we limit ourselves. And so for me, like, another idea from yoga is the idea of karma. And karma is not like you did something bad, so something bad's going to happen to you. Your karma is like the lesson that's going to keep revisiting you over and over and over again until you get it right, or until you learn the lesson. And that to me is God. Endless chances of just returning to the same thing. And if you keep messing up the same thing, it's like, well, of course you're going to do that. But God is there saying, hey, do you want to try again?
Yeah.
And that to me is like, oh my God,
Endless second chances. I love it.
Endless. Third, fourth, fifth, like, and like, it God's just like, will bring it to, and I think that's where so many of us, like God, like throughout our life has been like hinting at us, like, hey, that I'm not over here. I'm not here, right? Or that I'm also over here. And so
yes, right.
Then we finally come down to it. It's just like, we realize, it's like we get mad that we were worshiping an idol the whole time. And then, it's no wonder we're searching for God in all of this. It's, we've never been talking to God in the first place for a lot of us.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Adrian was really grateful that you just naturally pronounced spirit as she. So thank you for bringing that into the space. And then Amanda was really grateful to you for talking about your coming out story. Hearing from another LGBTQ Christian tonight has her heart singing. RN.
Yeah.
Heart singing for the resident nurses.
No, right now. That's internet.
Oh, shoot. I'm an old millennial. I don't know these things.
And I think the term is elder millennial, dear.
Oh, okay. That's horrible. But thank you, I think.
I'm sorry. You're not an elder, but let me tell you what though, just like, you're doing great. You're doing great for an elder millennial.
No, thank you. I saw that wink. Kevin, before I let you go, thank you for carving out some time. I know you're on a whole different time zone than I am, so it's late where you're at. Thank you for
It's all good.
Making time for
this. Time
this.
isn't real during Coronication. We all know that.
Oh, that feels real. That feels real.
You holding up okay? You doing okay?
Yeah, doing okay. I mean, it's some days, some moments are better than others.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I love my family. I like my family, so
that's a pleasure.
That is a pleasure. But yeah, we're doing all right.
Good. I just want to tell you, from me to you, I am so pleased about this book. Like, as I've been getting through it in these days, like, I'm like, oh my God, this is the book that I send to my family. This is the book that, like, because I will say this, for a lot of queer people, we need resources that are not as far removed as like explicitly queer affirming resources might be. But I know that your first book was something that I sent to so many people. I know this book is something I'm going to continue to send to other people because it is such a resource for people who are closer to the inside. So I am thankful that you are someone who gets my pronouns right and you use your privilege in great ways. So kudos, my dear. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations on your new book. You deserve every bit of happiness.
Thanks, Kev. You are wonderful. Everybody go pick up a copy of Bad Theology Kills and follow Kevin on what's your social meds?
My social meds. You can find me across social media at the Kevin Garcia and at thekevingarcia.com. And if you think I'm funny, you can follow me on my new TikTok channel. I'm just kidding. I don't have a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. I'm not you.
Oh, this quarantine's really getting to you. It's really getting to you.
Oh, listen, she's not that desperate yet, please.
All right. I don't know how I feel about this, but Mike Christman affirms yes, elder millennial. So I don't know if Mike was affirming, but it's whatever.
Listen, he's absolutely affirming. You need to own that elder millennial status because it's just like you don't understand something just like elder millennial, and the people are like, oh yeah, okay.
You remember when we were in New York 2 years ago at that? What was that called? It was some like young leader seminar thing.
Millennial Leaders Project.
It was actually Millennial Leadership Project, and I was the oldest one in the room. But y'all put up with me. It was wonderful. All right, Kev,
listen,
I love you.
You were the joy of you were the belle of the ball.
I don't know that that's true, but I like that you say it. So
listen, have you seen your face recently? Listen, if you wasn't so committed to your wife, I would snatch you up in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, I love.
Listen, I need to get off the line before I get in trouble with y'all.
All right, buddy. Love you, Kev. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
And that is my friend Kevin Garcia. So good. Okay. Wasn't that wonderful? So please go follow Kevin. Grab his stuff. So.